August has been a historic month in the prison reform movement. We have built up to this month for years previous, in that certainly the crown jewel of the month was being able to have the Federal Communications Commission reduce the cost of phone calls substantially. It's not everything we want, but certainly it has been usually about $1 a minute has gone down to 25 cents per minute, which is 4 times less. So that has been a great victory. A lot of that because of Kay Perry, who has been a long-time leader of our phone effort with the Equal Telephone Charges campaign that has been on the website for at least 20 years. And so we've kept up with it, and we filed it. And then there's just been this wonderful coalition that we joined recently of many young people who were in the social media and really gave it the publicity that we needed. Certainly there were numerous articles throughout the country after the decision was made last Friday. And over the weekend we saw many articles. So, and of course I must mention it, at least a mention to someone who played a major role, and that is the chair of the FCC, Menon Clyburn, who was just totally supportive, couldn't have done more, and quoted Sam Cooke's song, "It takes a long time for change, but change is today." So it's been a wonderful decision. We're all very much excited about the implementation. At the same time, on Friday, we began almost like we did 20 years ago on the phone. We started talking about climate conditions in prisons and jails, particularly in regard to the need for the high temperatures that are there because of, this is in regard to elderly prisoners, particularly in the South, but throughout the country, where we know the heat problems are just life-threatening throughout the prisons and jails. We were able to bring this to the attention of the American Correctional Association on Friday, and these are the wardens who belong to an organization that set up standards to be accredited. We wanted a standard that at least in the new construction, that there would be climate control. In other words, there would be air conditioned, basically, jails and prisons. They turned it down. This committee, accreditation committee, turned it down, but there were 2 eloquent speakers that talked about how important this is. One of them, the commissioner in the state of Pennsylvania, very talented and a strong leader, said, we've got to address this issue. He told us during the break when we were lobbying it that he had to move his mentally ill into cooler temperatures. They're older prisoners. He said, we have got to address this issue as an organization. And it was, you could hear a pin drop. People are, he really turned them around. And I think that we were there, played a major role in that decision, at least to encourage people to speak out. So we leave one at the end of a 20-year period. We start another one on the same day at the beginning of a 20-year period. There are many other things going on. Aliceville is a prison in rural Alabama where 1,100 women prisoners in the federal system were going to start to be transferred this month, and they would finally end up transferring all 1,100 by Christmas. That has been put on hold because a dozen United States senators have written a letter to the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons saying we cannot accept this. We want to. These people, women, are going to be away from their families. They're basically housed at Danbury, Connecticut, where they're from New York City predominantly, and where there's treatment programs, and to be transported 1,000 miles. It's really the first time in our work over the years that we have seen where the needs of the prisoner were considered before the needs of politicians, the needs of a city, the needs of money, the economy. And so it's a great step forward, and perhaps it's the beginning of us, our society beginning to see the needs of prisoners as maybe definitely more important than the needs to have it as a process of developing an economy in a rural area. So that was still is ongoing. All of these in many ways are still ongoing. So we're having also Attorney General Holder is going to give a talk today at the American Bar Association's convention in San Francisco, where he's going to talk about working on reducing the prisoner population, particularly in the federal system, but I think also in jails and prisons throughout the country. One of the priorities will be to do something on mandatory minimums. As we know, people are sent to prison, and there's nothing they can do to bring that sentence any closer through good time or whatever. And that has caused massive overcrowding, not only in the federal system, but throughout the country.